The city of Malden has been amazing, from our mayor, Gary Christensen, to Maria Louise, to Bobby Knox. Bobby Knox, you need to wave now. This is your time to wave. and the DPW, and the MBTA contact, Debbie Burke, all of the mayor's office, the city of Malden have been extraordinary in supporting us. I also want to acknowledge State Representative Paul Donato. You can wave, you can wave. We hit a very bumpy road. As you can see, this is a complicated site that belongs to the MBTA, and Representative Donato was amazing in helping us get over quite a large hill. So we're very grateful for that. And lastly, I want to make sure we thank John Priotel. John Priotel has supported us in unimaginable ways, and we are enormously grateful. Wave, John, you have to wave. So this has most definitely been a labor of love for all of us in MaldenArts. At times it felt a little more like labor than love, but I think at this point we're feeling the love. We're very proud of this final result, and we've been moved to tears several times. As you saw, I started it, and I'm sure others will continue it, with the amazing response that people have had to this COVID memorial. With that, I want to pass this on to MaldenArts founder and visionary, Naomi Brave.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming out on this beautiful evening. It's not 90 degrees for the first time in a while at our events. For those of you new to the art line, I wanted to give you a brief history. It all started, MaldenArts used to do art field trips. So we would go to different museums and galleries and invite the community to join us. And we were in an art field trip at the Worcester Art Museum to see a show of Ed Emberley's work. And I think at that time Sharon was the only person that knew Ed Emberley was from Malden. And we were like, how can this be? We have to change this. So we came up with this idea to focus on more famous local artists. We had been focusing on local artists for a long time. And we started the art line. And the first artist that we honored with a mural was Ed Emberley. He was the oldest. We decided he was 87 at the time. We better get busy. And we did a mural of his work, which is on Exchange Street. And then we did Frank Stella, who is on the high school wall. And we did Norman Greenbaum, Spirit in the Sky mural, which is on Exchange Street. And then we kind of skipped a beat and we did another local artist, Clay Larson, River of Ties mural, which honored the history of the trains and the herring that are in the Malden River that, you know, comes and goes under the bike trail in a few places. And then most recently we did Keith Knight, which is just up this way, past Malden Center, if you want to take a look at that on Main Street. And then we have this COVID memorial. So that's a quick history. And we have one more mural opening on Monday night. Susie Eckert can raise your hand, who's a local photographer. So that's Monday night at 6 o'clock on the Malden Spring Building, up towards Maplewood. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to the mayor.
I think so.
Thank you, Gary.
Good evening, everyone. I don't know about all of you. I think we should just turn the whole city over to MaldenArts. Once again, when I always say, you can't outdo yourself, you outdo yourself. So on behalf of all of us here, thank you. And to former Councilor at Large Debbie DiMaria and the artist Thomas Berger for your tremendous efforts for making this a reality. I can still remember when we constructed the path and we were at this section of it, we would just always look straight until now. Now we're going to look left and we're going to spend time. And we're going to do more here from what you were telling me earlier this evening. And we just can't say thank you enough for that. There is no doubt that we are going to use this mural and this area to remember the struggles that we went through during COVID-19. But we're also going to use it as a moment to remember how our community came together. And that's a tribute to all of you here this evening. So on behalf of our entire community, thank you, thank you, thank you. Now I will turn it back to the one and only Candace.
I'm the MC tonight. So we'd like to have Jason, Senator Lewis, sorry. We wanted to give Senator Lewis an opportunity to say a few words.
Thank you so much, Candace and Naomi, and this is an amazing group of women right here. Just give them another round of applause. Just make incredible things happen. It's so great to be with you all on this special occasion. I think the mayor and I, though, we aren't dressed appropriately for this occasion. We should be wearing, jogging shorts and t-shirts, right? Or biking clothes, I think. It's just fantastic. This is a great example, I think, of a partnership between our state delegation, between the city of Malden, MaldenArts, and I know many volunteers and residents that came together to make this happen. I, like all of you, am just a huge fan of public art. It can be enjoyed by everyone in the community. Doesn't matter who you are, where you live, what your income or your background is. It's there for everyone to enjoy. It nourishes the soul. And this will be a very special place, as the mayor said, and thanks to the inspiration of Councilor Di Maria, that this will be a COVID Memorial Park, will be a place of reflection for members of the community, to remember those we've tragically lost, and of course also those who have responded so heroically during this incredibly difficult time to step up and help their neighbors to get through this tough time. Also want to add my thank yous and congratulations. Just want to give a huge shout out to my fellow members of the Malden delegation. Representative Donato's been recognized, but also Representative Altrino and Representative Lipic-Arabedian. We don't get any funding through the budget unless we all work together, because it has to get through the House, the Senate, and then the governor, and so it's a team effort. And so I want to really thank my my colleagues. Thank you. Thank you to Mayor Christensen for your incredible leadership of the city that helps to make projects like this possible. I know Debbie Burke played a key role, and of course, former Councilor Debbie Di Maria is just an amazing person. So glad we're back and we get to see you tonight, and I know you're going to speak in a minute, so thank you, Debbie. And MaldenArts, incredible volunteers. Again, we're so grateful for everything you have done, are doing, and will continue to do to continue to make Malden a destination, the destination for public art. And we know some other cities are pretty good, Salem's pretty good, and some others, but I think we can put Malden not just in the top 5, but the destination for amazing, inspiring public art. So I know this will be an incredible asset, the entire art line, for many, many years, and for Malden residents and visitors from all over to enjoy for a long, long time. So thank you very much, and thanks for inviting me.
Thank you, Senator Lewis. So Senator Lewis said that this might be the first Massachusetts COVID memorial. So I think Malden might have gotten on the map as the first one, and the reason is this woman who is going to be coming up right now. So I would like, I can't call her ex-counselor. I will continue forever to call you my favorite counselor, Debbie Di Maria. So. So Debbie's going to explain. Debbie's going to explain how the vision for this happened.
Oh, hi. Hi. Oh my gosh, this is wonderful. So bear with me because I did have a speech. So I promise it won't be too long. COVID took many Maldonians' lives. COVID changed all our lives. Thoughts of a memorial began in my head in 2020. So I reached out to our community with a citywide survey. Overwhelmingly, they wanted a memorial. The next question was where? A cemetery location or the waterfront? 2/3 responded the waterfront. So I then reached out to the wonderful folks of the Malden River who entertained the idea with enthusiasm, but quickly realized that they were too underdeveloped to take on this project with me. COVID continued. And then somewhere on some magical day, I was approached by MaldenArts, namely Candace Julian. She asked, why not dedicate and design the Franklin Street Bike Path Pocket Park? But it wasn't what the community wanted. And then swims in a 4,000-pound fish in a pond and a wave bench. Fish are symbols of rebirth, fertility, and the unconscious or higher self, luck, change, health, and feelings. My decision to retire off City Council was fast approaching, and additional funding for this memorial became a concern. It was with pride that my residual community money is invested here. This is dedicated for all that we've lost in our city, all that suffered, all that helped, all that saved, all that survived, and all that protected. It is from my heart. My hope is the 2022 Malden Memorial becomes a quiet place of reflection for all of Malden. Thank you.
I think one of the things that's quite amazing about Malden is there's a lot of vision here. There's a lot of vision, and it, as I said, it takes a village. It takes all of us with our vision. So I want to introduce our next speaker, who is the sculptor, Thomas Berger. Now, we first met Thomas, we didn't meet him, this is when we actually first met him, but we first encountered his work when we were doing phase 1 of the art line. And we all fell in love with his work, and we couldn't figure out where in the world to put it. So we thought, well, maybe something will come to in phase 2. And if you haven't been over to see the fish yet, you definitely need to see the fish and the wave. It fits in perfectly, and there's one little surprise that when Thomas was finishing up the other day, are you going to talk about this? Or?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, I'll let you talk about it then. You know what I'm talking about.
No. I think I know it, but I'm not sure. About the
Glitters, all the glitters.
Oh, the glitters. Oh, no, that wasn't what I was
Oh, all right, I'll say
You
it
can
then.
talk about
All right.
glitters.
So when Thomas was installing the fish, which was an amazing thing to see, let me just say, Debbie Di Maria was here, and she was looking at it as it was all down, and Thomas was trying to get the grout out and in, and she said, you know, blue and gold are the colors of Malden High. And Thomas said, oh, I have a little bit of gold. So if you go over and look at the fish, it's also got some blue and gold to represent Malden High. So with that, I will give you Thomas.
Good evening. Thank you very much. I would just like to keep this very short, but I wanted to say that I'm very honored that I was selected for this work here in Malden. I didn't know much about Malden. I explored it a little bit. And as I worked here, I learned a lot about Malden. So I was on my knees for a couple of days putting these little tiles down. It was very, it drew up into a long time. But as I was sitting there and, you know, on average days, saw all that traffic up and down the bike path, and people from literally every corner of the world. I was quite impressed with that, and also how people reacted when they drove by. I would get, "Hey, that looks good. Awesome. What are you doing there?" Almost everybody had something to say, and I got really motivated, and I felt a big, like, what do you say, sense of purpose. That's what I came up with. So I had this feeling of purpose, and now that I see this beautiful mural here, and the park green, and so many people interested in all of this, I feel really happy about being part of this. And yeah, thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Tony. So in a little bit, we're going to call all the artists up, but what we've asked is a couple of the artists to talk about what their experience was in creating this. So I've got, so I want to give people an order so they know. Denise is going to be first, and then Tainter, and then I want you to know that we have a 10-year-old. The second panel is second and third panel is our 10-year-old artist who is willing to speak, artist and poet, quite an accomplished young woman. Dina Standard, you're next, and then Terry, I'm going to finish with you. So if you guys could come up, starting with Denise, and tell us a little bit about what this was like for you.
Thank you all for coming tonight, and thank you to all of you who made this possible, Debbie and Senator Lewis, and all of the artists and writers who contributed. When I saw the call to artists, I said, well, this is something I can do. I'm not a published writer, I'm not an artist, but I'm a member of the community, and I lost my dad to COVID. 10 years earlier, he had a stroke, and he was left paralyzed, and I had to start preparing myself to say goodbye. And then when the pandemic began, I said, well, it won't be the world's worst tragedy if I have to say goodbye. It wasn't, I know that, but it still sucked. And he was one of many, so many, whose individual stories are already being forgotten. Last year, the New York Times said that nearly 1/3 of COVID deaths were nursing home deaths. More than 1 in 10 nursing home residents have succumbed to COVID. And the rates are way worse among marginalized, lower income, more diverse communities, because they have worse staffing ratios and fewer private rooms, and they share their staffs among multiple residences. It should never have been the way that we had to lose them, any of them. Even if their time was limited, COVID made their lives shorter, and COVID took away our chance to say goodbye. They shouldn't have had to spend their last days and weeks and months in masks, in quarantine, alone. Did they even understand what was happening when the National Guard came in uniform to test them? Did they even understand why their families stopped coming in to visit? Or why they had to die alone? So on behalf of all of them, who died before they had a chance to ever be vaccinated, who didn't have any choice about how careful to be to avoid getting COVID, and on behalf of all the sons and daughters and spouses and grandchildren who didn't get a chance to say goodbye, I decided to write a poem about my dad. Thank you.
Here you go.
Thank you. I did the first drawing and the poem underneath. Thomas shared this call to artists and said, encouraged me. I've been like this young girl, I've been writing poems and drawing since I was a little girl too. So, but it's taken me a lot longer to get into a public art form, and I'm really honored. What inspired me was this incredible sense of arts, even though we were no longer, we had to be quiet, but that I had somehow been trained to entertain myself as a visual artist and a writer. And I had a lot of time, a quiet time during the first year of COVID, and did a lot of writing and a lot of painting. So when I heard of the call, I felt really ready and prepared. And I'd been reflecting a lot on the fact that there were a lot of performing artists that weren't even able to do any of their art. And it was a very painful time for the artists who need an audience, you know, to make it a whole thing, a whole event. So I think about the arts as essential as well. And I'm so grateful that MaldenArts has continued to forge along and then took this call to make something that really is meaningful and purposeful and bridges the arts, which are by nature healing and connective and joyful and loving, and you know, they're about spirit. And so here we are, and I feel so very lucky to be here. Thank you.
My name is Ellie. I'm 10 years old, and I like doing art a lot. And my mom found this thing. Was it online? Okay, online. And well, she read it out to me, and I liked it. But I wanted to say thank you to all of the workers who have done this during COVID, and well, made life and doing life still available even while everyone's messed up and can't go anywhere. And I wanted to thank teachers, principals, farmers, people who have helped work in our community to help kids, because I'm a kid, still do life. Thank you.
Wow, Hello, Malden. I come to you from a dirt road in the woods in Shutesbury, Massachusetts, not Shrewsbury, Massachusetts, further west, on the western shore of the Quabbin Reservoir, which is where your tap water originates. Yeah. And I read one night a call for submissions for poems. I'm an end-of-life navigator in my day job, and COVID happened, and we had to figure out how to grieve in isolation, how to let go in isolation, how to carry on in isolation, and how to connect from isolation. So what I did with people online, I was teaching workshops on creativity and grieving, and also conducting Zoom funerals. And what I'd do is I'd have people put their hands on their hearts so they could feel their heart beating and know that all of us together have hearts beating together. And this is what happens when our hearts beat together. From all that sorrow and grieving and need for connection and reaching out to one another. And this is one of the most magnificent examples of the healing power of community art that I have ever seen in all my life. And I bow to you, Malden, for being the first to bring artists together across generations and across cultures and across communities to manifest something so beautiful. Thank you for weaving all of our work into something so magnificent. I got out of my car after a long drive here and sat down on my little stool and burst into tears. So thank you. And thank you. And so our last artist is actually the Poet Laureate of Medford. Woohoo! So Terry, actually it was Terry's idea when we've had a couple of Zoom meetings, all of the artists and poets, and Terry was the one who said in the first meeting, well, I think I think it would be good if people read their poems or did something, don't you think? So we're going to have a chance that all of the artists were going to come up, but Terry has something he prepared specially to end this particular ceremony.
Thank you. So, I'm a Medford kid. So we've always in some ways been in competition with Malden, going back to, Turkey Day and the football game and all of that. But Malden has been very, very good to me. Malden Core, Malden River Works, Gary and I say jokingly we have to start meeting like this. But Mayor, I appreciate you. So my piece is called Ventilation. It's over there, and you can read it, and hopefully it speaks for itself. But I wanted to end on a slightly lighter note, so I want to read you a piece I call Coronavirus Blues. No toilet paper at the store. What did I even go shopping for? This mask is giving my face a rash. I just want to throw it in the trash. Latex gloves, they make me scratch. So now I wear an allergy patch. Hand sanitizers chafing my skin. Sad to reflect on the shape we're in. I'm washing my hands like Lady Macbeth. I can't stand to hear of another friend's death. My birthday party happened on Zoom. No one else was in the room. The cars paraded on down the street with balloons, but somehow incomplete. My kids missed prom and graduation. Look what this thing has done to our nation. How do we keep from freaking out? Whose advice are we seeking out? All of our patience is leaking out of this living we're barely eking out. Red state rogues won't stay in their lane, going to rallies and spreading the strain. Can't see Gramps in the nursing home, hoping and praying he's keeping shalom. Yaya says it's Greek to me. How can I love on my family? What if my Stavros doesn't come back, victimized by this viral attack? Fatality toll is rising each day. Why can't our leaders find a way? This virus is pushing us over the edge, carving us up with a razor-sharp wedge, chasing us onto a dangerous ledge. Can't we just chill? Can't we just veg? These are the days that try men's souls. They're raking us parents over the coals. They'll use their tablet to play Fortnite, but not to keep their math skills tight. So tired of having kids in my face. Don't they have to go someplace? I want to get dressed and just go to work. When did this team become such a jerk? Who came up with this hybrid model? That's the one that I need to throttle. It's traumatizing us poor teachers like Red Sox fans in the Yankee bleachers. I feel so bad for the local shops, the cafes and all the moms and pops. For the EMTs, the nurses and cops, will they be okay when the madness stops? When will we find some bottoms to go with our tops? When the last Zoom classrooms finally drops. Betrothals can't have a proper wedding, and churches face some really tough sledding. Live stream preaching and virtual Jesus somehow doesn't totally please us. I just can't seem to shake these blues. Is there some potion that I can use? Doctors say to stay at home. Time to finish this COVID poem. Social distance gets magnified as feuding families choose a side. Political footballs get tossed around. Not an ounce of civility found. What the left wants, the right won't give. Meanwhile, sick people are struggling to live. This mask is giving my face a rash. I just want to throw it in the trash. Latex gloves, they make me scratch, so now I wear an allergy patch. I've got those coronavirus blues. My mind, I think I'm gonna lose. Sad to reflect on the shape we're in. Pray that the virus doesn't win. Thank you. Thank you very much. In closing, I just want to say this is incredible. A 10-year-old was able to bring out of her spirit because of you, and they say a little child shall lead them. That is most certainly true.
Terry was right. When we had our last meeting a couple of days ago, Terry said, I have the perfect way to end this ceremony. And I think he's right. So we have, if all the artists who, and the poets can come up here, and we should be, hopefully folks have a toast. We've got all of the artists. So what we're going to do is get all the artists up here, and we're going to have a toast to them. I see some folks have it. You can tell we sort of had this vision, and it didn't work. That by now everybody would have a glass in their hand and they could toast it. So those of you that have a glass in your hand, you can toast these folks, and the rest of you can toast them in a minute. One of the things that we thought would be fun is if each of the artists would go stand by their panel so that folks would have a chance to sort of connect the person with the art. So with that, oh yes, yes. So there's a request that you guys get a little cozier. So we get one picture. I'm going to let Susie take care of that.
Oh, and can you take no mask? Yeah.
My cheeks hurt.
Bravo!
And thank you all for coming. And hang around and chat with one another and these amazing artists. So thank you all very, very much.
I came up with that looks really good. And then I want them. I mean, sure, let's do that too. This is a different. Yeah, because I had a meeting at City Hall.
So I'm very proud of this. This is my honor.
And we didn't have any chairs. That's why we got chairs this time. And I just wanted to sit down. I couldn't. There's no place to sit down. So I moved over to. Both Emmett and Liam said, oh yeah.
Just like I did shots of
We need to do everywhere. Everywhere, every community needs some art and to come together and
you're not building.
I want to go and take. I want to go and. I want to just open.